Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 25th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services.
For the first time, Hillary now may really be going to jail. My friends, bombshell revelations. Now they are reverberating across the entire political landscape. Before I get to this very important story, I rarely do this. I like to go into my opening monologue, as you know, right away. However, Kuhner Country, this is a call to action. I have a column up on WRKO.com, Kuhner's Corner. Elizabeth Warren lied about being sexually harassed. I blow the lid off of Elizabeth Warren. I expose her completely for having fabricated, completely lied and made up her ridiculous allegations that she was sexually harassed, as she claimed on NBC's Meet the Mess with Chuck U. Todd. I have all of the evidence is there. I urge all of you, please, she needs to be exposed and held accountable. Please go to WRKO.com, download the story, and if you can, pass it on to your friends, colleagues, family members. Okay, Hillary Clinton. Now, for the first time, her inner circle itself is now concerned, seriously worried, that she may end up in prison. She and Bill may be going down. Here is now the absolute latest. According now to the Washington Post, now this is very important, and I'm going to get to this a little bit later. Not the Washington Times, my former paper, but the liberal, democratic Washington Post. They were the ones who broke the story yesterday, that it has now been revealed that it was Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee that paid. In other words, Clinton dirt paid, dirty Clinton paid for Kremlin dirt on Trump. Dirty Clinton paid for Kremlin dirt on Trump. They were the ones behind the infamous Russian dossier, as Maxine Waters would have put it. They were the ones who paid for the Russian dossier, the infamous Trump dossier, whereby it was alleged that Donald Trump went to the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow. We know it's all been debunked. It's completely garbage. But the fact of the matter is it emanated from them. And that apparently he had gone to the Ritz, allegedly to the Ritz-Carlton. He was seeing Russian prostitutes. There was the infamous golden showers that they were, urinating all over him, urinating all over the bed, that they selected this room in the Ritz-Carlton that allegedly Obama and Michelle slept in, that all of this was being videotaped secretly by the Russians, and that they had this compromising information on the president himself.
Dossier.
The dossier. That they were going to implicate him and hold it as blackmail and to leverage the president. It has now come out that this infamous dossier, which was done by Fusion GPS, a key firm in Washington, D.C., that it was a lawyer, Mark Elias, connected to the Clinton campaign, in fact, their lawyer, the Clinton campaign's lawyer, the DNC's lawyer, who was the one who paid for the dossier. They were the ones who hired Christopher Steele. He was the British intelligence agent who, in fact, compiled this bogus report. So, all of this dirt on Trump, the lies, the Kremlin dirt on Trump, was paid for by Dirty Clinton. What does this mean? In plain English, Jeff, it's sordid, it's sleazy, it's disgusting. But what does this mean in plain English? I'll tell you what it means in plain English. The very same dossier that is the basis for Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation, the very same dossier that was used by the FBI and by intelligence agencies to illegally surveil Trump and his campaign. The very same dossier that has been used as the basis for the so-called allegations of collusion between Trump and Putin turned out to be nothing more than a Clinton dirty trick. It's rigged. It was bought and paid for by the DNC. It was bought and paid for by the Clinton campaign. She was behind it. Her people were behind it. And not only were they behind it, but they clearly manufactured the allegations to smear Trump. Remember, this was unleashed during the election campaign. And not only that, but the person who wrote the dossier, Christopher Steele, in fact was close friends with James Comey, and Comey, in fact, wanted to hire Christopher Steele based on the dossier to continue investigating Trump. You see now how all of the dots now begin to connect of this massive conspiracy and collusion between the deep state, the FBI, Comey, Mueller, and now the Clinton campaign to smear, slander, and libel Donald Trump based on completely made up, bogus, outrageous allegations and accusations. Let me tell you why she's going down. Let me tell you exactly why she's going down. She's going down because now, in front of our very eyes, the Russia script is now being flipped. What is now being demonstrably proven is that rather than Trump having colluded with the Russians, it was Hillary Clinton who colluded with the Russians. And moreover, it was the Obama administration that colluded with the Russians. Because the dirty secret is this. Remember, who just broke this story? The biggest pro-Clinton newspaper in Washington, the Washington Post. Why would they do that? Think about it. Why would they do that? As you know, I was in Washington for 10 years. I oversaw the White House congressional coverage at the Washington Times. I know a lot of the players now in Washington and a lot of the people in the press corps. So what did I do last night? Last night, as this story broke, and it is an absolute bombshell, I made a couple of calls and emails to people that have been breaking some of these stories. Let me tell you what these journalists are now have told me. I can't give their names, but I think if you know my background, you can pretty much figure it out who I've been speaking to. What they told me is this. The leaks about Hillary Clinton now are not coming from the FBI or from the bureaucracy or from Republicans. They are coming from senior, high-ranking Democratic operatives. Why? Because now the Democratic Party has made a decision that they're going to bring Hillary Clinton down. And the reason why they're going to bring Hillary Clinton down is because they now fully understand that this story, the Uranium One story, which I'm going to get into later this hour, you don't want to miss it, another bombshell revelation there. It is now unraveling that the Russian government had penetrated the deepest levels of the Obama administration. Not only Hillary's State Department, but they penetrated the Justice Department, they penetrated key aspects of the Obama administration, and so now, in order to prevent this cancer, which is now the biggest political scandal in American history, that's what Uranium One is. Uranium One is the biggest political scandal in American history. To prevent the fallout from now dragging in Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, who covered up, and maybe Robert Mueller, and maybe even Obama himself, to save the president and his top men and women, they're going to need a scapegoat or a fall guy. And now it's going to be Hillary and Bill Clinton. I'm telling you, my friends, for the first time, there is blood in the water. She may now be going down and going down hard. And so the question now you have to ask yourself is this, and I'm not going to let this thing go because the evidence is now overwhelming. When you now shift the lens from Russia having allegedly colluded with Trump, and now there is no evidence at all, but the evidence that they colluded with Hillary, and now increasingly with the Obama administration, is now piling up and piling up and piling up. I want you to think about it. Over the 8 years of the Obama regime, who benefited? Que bono? It was Putin. Every step of the way, Vladimir Putin benefited. Who sold out Crimea to Russia? Obama and Hillary did. Who gave Putin essentially eastern Ukraine? Obama and Hillary did. Who gave him Syria? Obama and Hillary did. Who gave him Iran and that nuclear deal? Obama and Hillary did. Who gave him that ridiculous nuclear missile treaty where we practically disarmed ourselves and allowed the Russians to modernize their nuclear weapons? Obama and Hillary did. Who pushed for the infamous Russian reset? Obama and Hillary did. And who gave away our strategic uranium reserves, the very foundation of nuclear weapons and atomic weapons, to the Russians? Obama and Hillary did. They gave away the store. They gave away everything to the Russians. In the midst of all of this bribery, extortion, kickbacks, racketeering, influence peddling, what they had to do was to distract and deflect attention from them and the fact that they were neck deep in Russian money and Russian influence. In order to deflect and distract, they tried to pin it on Donald Trump. And I want you to listen now to a historian. He's one of the great historians of our time. He's also a brilliant writer, Victor Davis Hanson. He's been published in the Wall Street Journal. I mean, I could run down the whole list of his publications, where he is now interviewed saying it is pretty obvious that the hysteria about Trump and Russia was nothing more than a grand distraction from the real collusion that took place. And that was between Hillary and the Obama administration and Mother Russia. Roll it, Brittany.
I think we spent 95% of our investigatory resources, congressional, independent media, political, and we came up with nothing on the collusion, where 95% of the narratives, whether it was the Steele dossier, which involved taking the Fifth Amendment behind closed doors to the Devin Nunes's House Intelligence Committee, or the unmasking and leaking, in which one member who was unmasking claims now that the numbers that were amassed did not match the times that she did it, in the case of Samantha Power. And now we have the Uranium One deal, we have the Podesta deal. So what we're seeing is the investigators are being investigated, and because there was never a collusion. And the reason with the Trump administration, and it begs the question, Tucker, was this anger, hysteria, as you, I think, rightly surmised, anger over the lost election that was blown, or B, was it an effort to overturn the election by impeaching or denigrating Trump to such a degree it was ineffective, or C, was it a preemptive, active effort to disguise a lot of exposure in these scandals that we've talked about?
I think to me it's pick door one, pick door two, pick door three, whatever which one now you want to pick. The fact of the matter is the evidence is now overwhelming. It's now irrefutable. The mainstream media now, they're white, they're ashen. You can see it on them. They're completely ashen. They now realize that the Russia narrative that they have been peddling is completely false. In fact, it's now going to blow up in their face. And if they don't protect Obama, and if they don't protect Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch and Robert Mueller, they may all go down. All of them. And so now it's time to rescue the Democratic establishment and the Obama regime from possibly going to prison. I'm telling you, this is much bigger than Watergate. This makes Watergate look like a Sunday school picnic. And so what's happening now is they're leaking on Hillary. It's starting with the Washington Post. Trust me when I tell you this, okay? You're going to see something from the New York Times in the next day or two. You're going to start to see something now even come out on the Clinton News Network is now going to become the anti-Clinton News Network. It's like a cancer you've got to amputate. And they're going to save Obama. So cut off the left arm, cut off Hillary. My question to you now is this. As the evidence now mounts, will Hillary finally be going to jail? Will it actually happen? That's the poll question of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. If you believe the answer is yes, hallelujah, Jeff, it may actually happen. Text the letter A to 680 680. If you believe it's the Clintons, they always get away with it, Jeff. In other words, no. Text the letter B to 680 680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Poll results, your calls, next. Trump is now putting up certain designs of the wall. I would also put up a couple of designs of a jumpsuit for Hillary Clinton. I think orange looks great on her, but that's just me. Jerry on the Cape. Go ahead, Jerry.
Comrade.
Jerry, how you are, my friend?
Здравствует. I have a message for you from Dimitri. We shall sell them the rope with which they shall hang themselves with, comrade. До свидания. Jeff, if you hearken back to about a year ago, you and I were talking about this very subject, about the dossier, and I said to you that it would lead full circle back to the Democrats, and that's exactly what's happened. But the real danger here, Jeff, is the FSB, using propaganda and psyops and government penetration with spies and these traitors to cause division and chaos in the United States and undermine our way of life. But, Jeff, the dossier given to the FBI by one John Sidney McCain III, our intelligence agencies went along with this and weaponized it against Donald Trump. There's where the real danger is the government turning the guns on us with fake, I mean, it's typical totalitarianism here. It is. They turn everything against whoever their enemy is.
Jerry, look, thank you for that call. And look, that's why it's very telling that this story was broken by the Washington Post. Because what they're now signaling in Washington is Hillary's in trouble. Go after Hillary. Save Obama. And so we now know that the DNC, along with the Clinton campaign through Mark Elias, were the ones that paid for the Trump dossier. However, Fusion GPS did have a Republican client. That's all they're going by, is a Republican client who also paid for that Trump dossier. And the question is, who is that Republican? And I will bet you the best steak at the Hanover Street Chop House that it's going to turn out to be McManiac. That it was McManiac who took that dossier from Christopher Steele, gave it to Comey. He was shipping it around all over Capitol Hill, gave it to the CIA, gave it to the NSA, gave it to the FBI, because he was in collusion with the Democrats to destroy Trump and get Hillary elected. Mark my words, it's all going to come out. Okay, 617-266-6868. We'll continue to take your calls. Jackie in the newsroom, what's happening on tax cuts and the latest on the Trump dossier?
But that train keeps rolling.
1238 here on the great WRKO. Okay, let me put one more log on the proverbial fire. When I say Hillary Clinton now and her inner circle are now seriously worried about going to jail, here's another big shoe that just dropped. and on the Uranium One deal. And this one, I want to give full kudos, full hat tip to Tucker Carlson. He busted this thing wide open last night on his show. Okay, as you know, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager was John Podesta. He's one of the closest aides, confidants of Hillary Clinton. They go back years. He has a brother called Tony Podesta. Together, they have formed what's called the Podesta Group. It is a powerful, influential, one of the most influential lobbying firms in Washington. Tony Podesta, in many ways, was the bagman for both Hillary and Bill Clinton. He would speak to Hillary at least 5 to 6 times a day. He helped raise a ton of cash for her, and in many ways, he acted as the go-between for people who wanted to lobby Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. According to a senior Podesta Group official who spoke to Tucker Carlson last night, and I guess we're going to get more information over the next couple of days, this person said he's been watching the media coverage and how the mainstream media has been trying to claim falsely, smear Trump of having colluded with the Russians. He said he is so sickened by what he has seen over the last year that it forced him now to break his silence and to go to, Tucker Carlson in particular, to get the real story out. And here is the real story. He says that he was there for years at the Podesta Group. He witnessed firsthand with his own eyes how it was John and Tony Podesta who were neck deep in Russian influence peddling. That, in fact, the key person that they used, listen to this, here it comes, was Paul Manafort. Yes, the same Paul Manafort who temporarily, for a month or two, was Trump's campaign manager. Manafort had been working as a lobbyist for the Podesta Group for years. In fact, he raked in millions and millions and millions of dollars lobbying on behalf of the Podesta Group for his Russian clients. Many of these clients were powerful Russian oligarchs based in either eastern Ukraine or from Russia itself, tied directly to Putin. And what Manafort's goal was to convince Hillary Clinton, through the Podesta Group, to sell our strategic uranium reserves to the Kremlin and to Russia. And so Paul Manafort was the one who helped these Russian oligarchs. In fact, he would have them go all over Capitol Hill. He would then, through John and especially Tony Podesta, have them have direct access and influence peddling over Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State. And here's the kicker. They continued to influence the Obama administration right up until 2015, way after the Uranium One deal was done. Why? Because the Russians who now control Uranium One, under the law, they cannot export our uranium to anywhere outside the United States. But in reality, the New York Times was the one who just broke this story. You see how they're starting to turn on Hillary now slowly? In their story, they've now revealed that, in fact, uranium, and especially yellow cake, which is very dangerous and is seminal to the production of atomic bombs or even a dirty bomb, has in fact left the United States by the Russians. We don't know where it is, probably going on the way to North Korea, to Iran, maybe even to terrorists. We have no idea. But the fact of the matter is, they were influencing the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton to the tune of millions and millions and millions of dollars. Which to me brings up an even more interesting point. This is not Tucker's point, this is now my point. Isn't it odd? Okay, first, the obvious point. John and Tony Podesta were acting as essentially middlemen for the Russians. They were the ones swimming in Russian money, along with Manafort. And they were the ones who helped Hillary push through the Uranium One deal. Furthermore, again, I go back to the point I made in the first monologue. These facts are now incontrovertible. Who gave Putin Crimea? Hillary and Obama. Who gave Putin Eastern Ukraine? Hillary and Obama. Who gave Putin Syria? Hillary and Obama. Who gave Putin Iran? Hillary and Obama. Who gave them our strategic reserves? Hillary and Obama. Everything that Putin wanted, Putin got. And it was from Hillary and Obama. Because the Podesta group were influencing Hillary, influencing the Obama administration, and they were funneling hundreds of millions of dollars. But this brings to me a second very important point. Tucker didn't mention it. I'm going to mention it. It's on everybody's lips in Washington, but nobody has the guts to say it, so I will. Why was Paul Manafort, for years lobbying in the Podesta firm, a man neck deep himself, not just in Russian money, but in ties to Podesta and Hillary Clinton? How did he become Trump's campaign manager? Why would he even want to be Trump's campaign manager? And if you remember the campaign, and I remember almost every day because it was the most intense campaign of my life, it was during the 2 months that Paul Manafort was running Trump's campaign that the Trump campaign began to drop like a stone. That's when he began to really fall behind Hillary Clinton. That's when the Trump campaign made mistake after mistake after mistake. If you remember, it was only because Trump, a businessman, results-oriented right away, don't give me any BS, said, hey, Paul, we're getting killed. Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. We're not going anywhere, Paul. Remember, Manafort said, don't emphasize the America First agenda. Present yourself as a more traditional Republican. It's only when Trump fired Manafort and then brought on board Bannon and Kellyanne Conway, who told him, Donald, just be Donald. Trump, just be Trump, and you win, is when his campaign got into really high gear, and that's when he made his miracle comeback. I'm going to ask the question. Was Paul Manafort an agent for the Podestas and Hillary to subvert Trump's campaign from within? To me, it begs the question. And I want to say one more thing, because this needs to be said. If you remember during the campaign, and I'm talking about months before the campaign, weeks before the campaign, days before the election, okay? Days, the day of the election, Hillary was 100% supremely confident she was going to win. They had this in the bag. On election night, she was stunned. She was flabbergasted. It's almost like a mafiosi who's betting on the ponies. And he's putting all his money on a certain pony because they're like, guys, the fix is in. We've got the jockeys in on it. We've got the owners in on it. We've got the people who are running the races in on it. Everybody's been paid off. We have locked this thing down 6 ways to Sunday. It's a guarantee. And the wrong horse wins. That's what happened on election night. Let me tell you what I think is now going to be revealed. What is now going to be revealed is that through Uranium One, which is just, I think, the tip of the iceberg, the Russians and others, we're just focusing on Russia, I think China, Saudi Arabia, many other foreign countries, were influencing the Obama administration. They were bought and paid for. And it was through Uranium One and others, through the Clinton Foundation, that they completely sold America down the river. We were completely, I mean literally, like a whore, We were bought and paid for. Our government was. And Hillary Clinton thought she had the media in her pocket. She had the Russians in her pocket. She had the lobbyists in her pocket. She had her inside moles in the Trump campaign. You had Obama spying on Trump. They thought, we've got this thing. There's no way he can win. It was the hand of God. I said this to Grace last night. I said, I'm telling you as an historian, there are moments in history where literally miracles happen. The election of November 2016 was a miracle. Because if Hillary Clinton had won, whatever you think of Donald Trump, now you see what would be running this country. It would be political gangsterism on a scale you've never seen before. I'm talking about the whole country, bought, paid for, and sold down the river. They would have pimped out everything. I mean everything. And so now, Congress is investigating the Uranium One deal. They're now finally making a move. Jeff Sessions is now deliberating about lifting the gag order imposed by the Obama administration, Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder, to keep him from talking and spilling the beans to Congress. The key now is going to be the Clinton Foundation. Here's my prediction. Congress is going to have to ask for the books to be opened on the Clinton Foundation. And they've kept them under wraps. Once those books are exposed, the whole thing's going to come crashing down. The Clinton Foundation will come crashing down. The House of the Clintons will come crashing down. And what the media and the Democrats are now petrified of is that Holder, who covered it up, Lynch, who covered it up, Mueller, who covered it up, and Obama, who is implicated and covered it up, they may all go down in the greatest scandal in American history. Listen now to Newt Gingrich saying the big one, the mother lode, is going to drop. And it drops when Congress moves on the Clinton Foundation's books. Open up the books. Roll it, Hillary.
Everything
Britain.
the average American has believed about corruption in Washington is about to be validated. Alan Guelzo, who is a great historian at Gettysburg College, wrote me recently that by the time this is all out, every other presidential scandal in American history will look trivial. That this is the most corrupt, the most unbelievably unlawful administration in American history. The Clintons are only a part of this. Wait till you get to Attorney General Lynch. Wait till you get to her predecessor. Wait till you get to Samantha Powers at the UN. This is just going to keep on rolling. And I think we're going to look back a year or two from now, and we're going to be stunned at the dishonesty and the bankruptcy of the Obama administration, of which the if you will, the apex is the Clinton team. And I have a very simple challenge for the Congress. Get all of their donations on the record. When you go to the Canadian Clinton Foundation, which didn't have to report, very clever legal gimmick,
one last
but
thing.
Wrong, you start taking these apart. It's horrendous.
You open up the books and everybody falls. 617-266-6868. The poll question of the day, powered by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Will we finally see Hillary Clinton go to jail? Do you think this time it may actually happen? If the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe the answer is no, text the letter B to 680-680. As always, you can vote at WRKO.com. Poll results, your calls, I promise. Next.
WRKO.
Eddie in Quincy. Go ahead, Eddie.
Yes, I hope you keep this up every day. I think this segment should be called the Swamp Report. You know, the thing that got me, Jeff, is the Dems knew this. Not all of them, but a good many of them knew, starting from Obama on down. And they let this go through. All the money we've wasted, all the time we've wasted, they've continued to trash Trump. And guess what? I hope they get the whole 9 yards now.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Eddie. And look, I'm telling you right now, the people that I spoke to, they're saying they're leaking. And it's all coming from the Democrats. And I said, well, why would the Democrats be leaking on their own? They go, it's damage control now. The story is out. They can't contain it. It's blowing up in their face. The mainstream media's got to now, they got to have some credibility left after everything they've done, going all in on this bogus Trump collusion with Russia story. And so it's now Operation Protect the Dear Leader. Protect Holder, protect Lynch, protect Mueller, protect Obama. Remember, Uranium One, the FBI investigation was under Mueller's watch. The FBI informant who was telling them about the bribery, the extortion, the kickbacks that were taking place, Mueller knew about it. Rosenstein knew about it. And they signed off on it. So now there is pressure building on Mueller. You can't be an objective, impartial investigator. You're implicated in this. And so there is now pressure on him to either recuse himself from the investigation as special counsel.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.